All right, good morning. It's October 28th, 2025. This is our pre-market prep. And it's a big day today. Today we have a Fed announcement. So let me just bring up here Forex Factory. Bring this over here so you guys can see it. So today's the Fed funds rate announcement. It's expected to be dropped from 4.25 to 4. If you're not using Forex Factory, this is really important for you to use this tool to do your prep. I look at this every day, make sure that I know what any big announcements, economic announcements are going to happen. Some announcements are going to move price at that time. Some announcements are going to create a complete structural, change. And that's the Fed funds rate. So this potentially today, even though it's at 2 p.m., it could create a lot of havoc for the whole day because, you either have a situation where you get really good movement because people are pre-positioning for what's going to happen, or people don't want to do anything. And so it just sits and chops and does nothing the whole day. So, when we have big announcements like this, we can end up with really kind of a mixed bag of a kind of day. So I'll do a pre-market prep, but my pre-market preps for days like this are going to be, take it with a grain of salt, because we just have no idea who's going to come into the market and start messing with the market before this. If you haven't used this, again, like I said, use it. There's a lot of features in here. So like you can come in here and click this, and I can click the whole month or whole week. Let's say I just want to look at the whole week as an example. I can do that. Now I can see the whole week at a glance. There's the ability to filter. So I can click this little button right over here, and I can look at everything. So if I apply filter, it's going to give me everything for all countries. I don't usually want to do that. I just want to see US. You can deselect things like the yellows. They're kind of minor reports. Really, I pay most of my attention to the red reports. Really high, high value reports. You can go to the next week here to kind of see the same thing. So use this tool. It's a valuable tool. All right, so let's take a look at our NQ. And if you're just looking at, as an example, if you're just looking at the overnight session, you see kind of like this mixed bag. When you take into context, like what we've done, like massive move up, we're at all-time highs. One of the things that I mentioned before is the market doesn't like to leave an all-time high that has occurred overnight. So that's what we have here. So we have this, all-time high that was created, 4:15, 4:20 in the morning. Market doesn't like that. It's going to want to take that out during the regular trading hour session. If not this session, then at least another session. Like this isn't going to hold. There's going to be a new all-time high at some point. So we kind of know that. We, if we look at our midlines, they're pretty far away. There's a midline here. So there's not really any levels around to rely on. That's what makes it, relatively difficult for us. For me, anyway. For me, when I'm trading, is because I don't have the levels. So I can still rely on structure. And so if we look at our structure, go back to the first live stream I did a few days ago. I think it was the 27th, so October 27th. And I give a tutorial on what I'm doing here with these DR, IDR levels. And just as a quick refresher, this is the ADR session right here. So we have the ADR session right here, and we have the ODR session. So this is the overnight Asian session. This is the overnight European session. And the boxes, these are called DR, IDR levels. These are created in the first hour of each session. And you have what's called the DR high, Okay, so let me just do this here. This is the DR high. This is the IDR high. So this is the defined range, implied defined range. Okay, this is the implied defined range low, and this is the defined range low. Okay, basically it's formed from the wick and the body of the high and the low of the 1 hour time frame. Okay, when we break through the first time, the DR high or DR low for the first time, that's called confirmation. So we confirmed long. And if we stay long, that's called a true day. If we don't stay long, if we break through the other side of the DR range, and when I mean break, I mean a close, then we have what's called a false day. Okay, so we have a true day and then a false day. Today was a false day. So these are important because these are important characteristics that impact what the market's most likely to do. And we have statistics and machine learning algorithms and data. We have data that goes back to, 17 years worth of data, 2008, that help me predict what does the first hour of the RDR session look like. Okay, the first hour could look like, and again, I'm just going through this really quick, so bear with me if you've seen this, but this is for people who haven't. It could look like this, and this is called an upside X plus. It could look like this, where the bottom is between the midline and the IDR high. This is called a upside X. It could look like this, where the bottom is between the midline and the IDR low. That's called an upside. You have this. This is called a range expansion, right? Because we're expanding the entire range. This would be the first hour of the RDR session, right? This is called a range expansion. And we can just kind of go down to the other side too. So this is downside X, and then this is downside X plus. Right, so those are kind of there's actually one more model we haven't talked about. It's called contraction. Usually happens between the RDR session and the next ADR session, but it's like this. It's called contraction. It's a kind of a big winding up. Okay, it's kind of rare between ODR and RDR. It will happen between ADR and ODR sometimes, especially on gold. All right, so those are our possible structures that could form, and it's important to know because, if I have let me kind of come back here. If I have a structure that I know is going to form like this, right? I'm not looking for longs. I'm not looking for long opportunities, that are up here. I'm looking for short opportunities that are around here. If I have a structure that looks like this, then what I'm looking for is I'm looking for price in the RDR session, so after 9:30, to test these lows and then start working its way back up to the high. Those are good trades, right? So if I know that we're going to most likely form something like this, I'm on the watch for a potential bigger move, kind of a fade move that goes back here to the other side. So this helps me plan out kind of the trade ideas that I have. So let's take a look at the data for today. So it's Wednesday. So we have upside X plus between ADR and ODR. We have long confirmation, and we have a false day. Okay, so let's just bring up my tool. So this is my proprietary tool with all my data. It's Wednesday, and we had upside X plus, long, false day. So our largest likelihood here is range expansion, and then the next likely is downside X plus. Range expansion, downside X plus. Now we opened this open location. This is the transition open. This is kind of important. So this is questioning relative to this right here, this IDR level at 8:30. Where were we? Were we above it or were we below it? Were we inside or were we below or above? Actually, yeah, this is more like where it is relative to the lower part. So we open below, right? So we open below this one. And that means that if we do this over here, we open below, we kind of get the same. And we're kind of expecting a midline to break. So we got about a 67% probability that the midline will break. It's about, 2/3. This is the midline right here. So we do expect a range expansion day. We do expect this kind of a day like this. But we also want to watch that midline, because let's say that we kind of come up inside. This means that we come up inside the IDR range, the ODR IDR range. If we do not break that midline, like, we literally cannot create a range expansion. So we have to break the midline. It's only happened one time with this structure on a Wednesday. It's only happened one time in 16 years where we've, not broken the midline. So it just tells you, even here, we don't have that many times here where it hasn't broken the midline. If we take out Wednesday, 8 times in 16 years, it's not broken the midline. 37 times it has. So we have a good probability that it's gonna break this midline, right? So we're kind of watching for this first, this IDR breach. This increases the likelihood of a range expansion. It increases the likelihood that we're going to break the midline and keep going back up. So that's kind of what we're looking for right there. And so far we haven't done that. So this does not constitute a break right here. This little wick up right here. So that's my day in Q. You can do the same for ES as well. So if I bring up ES here, it's going to look a little uglier. It's kind of called, I don't even look at days like this. This is called like a triple day. We went up, we went down, we went back up. We're just bouncing all around. So this is already telling me we've got a really kind of nasty day ahead. We can do this with gold. Let's see what gold looks like. All right, let's look at gold. Let me turn some things off. Make it a little more clear. So gold's going to be, I can already tell you, it's going to be a upside X plus. It's going to look like something like this. Right, so we can reset this, go to gold, Wednesday, upside X plus, long, true. Yeah, so 48%, 49% upside X plus. And unless we come down and kind of break in through here. All right, so that's kind of the structure for today, at least for NQ. For gold, upside X plus, more upside for gold unless we break this level right here. And then we kind of get a little bit more mixed. Let's see what happens. What will happen if we do that? Okay, we started above, we break this. Okay, range expansion comes to play. We still have these others as possibilities, though. It doesn't mean that we're going to get range expansion. If we break the midline, absolutely. If we don't break the midline, probably, yeah, upside X. So upside X would be something like this. Okay, we breached this, but we didn't break this. So that's a possibility as well. So these two right here, highest probability. All right, that's our day, October 29th. I hope these are useful for you guys, at least seeing how I do this. I am going to be launching kind of a way for you guys to get access to this and in the future. So that, these are proprietary tools that I've created and built, but I want to make them available to traders who work with me. So I'll do that in the future. All right. Have a great trading day. Watch out for the craziness that might happen, and don't trade at 2:00. That's when the Fed's going to speak. That's going to get you in trouble.